Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Internet Friends, a episode where basically a bunch of 30-something-year-olds talk about how much their moms are wrong for talking about people they shouldn't be talking about on the internet.
Take that, Mom.
Yeah. My parents
here-
weren't present enough to warn me about any of that.
Well, look where it got us.
True.
I'm here with that Seth,
Hi.
and the raccoon loon herself, Brie, and her cats.
Just Theo today, but yes.
Just
just
Theo. Well, Theo's the best.
And Dante now, apparently.
Dante's like,
He
hey,
said,
hey,
and
hey.
me.
The other one
hey,
spawned in.
Yeah, he was just like, hey. Theo's cool, but like Dante.
Yeah, absolutely.
We all love Dante.
Yeah, look at him. Sweet boy.
I love his Inferno.
The
Not
Disco
everyone does.
Inferno?
No, Dante's Inferno.
Not better. I would argue the Disco Inferno is better than Dante's Inferno.
Hot take. We're going right in with these hot takes.
We're diving right in today.
It's
my
two
goodness.
completely separate mediums that are not related to
Well-
each other whatsoever.
I grew up in a church, so I wasn't allowed to listen to Disco Inferno, but Dante's Inferno was everywhere.
Which is
Okay.
funny because you got to watch a lot of like television, but they were just like, oh, well, Disco and Inferno, that just sounds too much like Satan. No.
Yeah, can't have that. Can't have that.
All right, what have you guys been up to?
I watched Love Has Won, that documentary series about that cult leader who ended up mummifying herself.
Oh my
I
god.
love how
that's
we just
so
went to
crazy.
talking about you growing up religious and you went straight into watching a documentary about cults.
It was hilarious. I gotta be real. It was real funny. She would it's a whole thing, but like Robin Williams is a part of it in a weird way because she said he was an angel and she like spoke to him after his death. She was drinking silver and it turned her blue.
Colloidal silver,
It's-
yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus
Have you seen it?
Christ.
Here's the thing, I have not seen it, but my coworker was obsessed with it, and it was very funny because when she was talking about colloidal silver, I used to work in animal care, and colloidal silver is what we use to take care of animals with upper respiratory infections, in a very, very small dosage. So it's not something
was
you should be
drinking-
taking. Yeah,
No, and she was drinking liters of it a day.
yeah, not a good thing to do.
Here's the thing. Saying Robin Williams is an angel, okay, cool. I accept that.
Absolutely.
Like, nobody's going to argue that. Like,
Yeah.
somebody hears that, like, that's fine. The rest of the stuff following that is like, all right, let's go get you a little padded room and a straitjacket. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
Well, and the people who followed her and believed her were just, it's so funny. There's a scene where the guy's playing guitar next to her like dead mummified body. It's so funny.
So wild.
I love cult stuff just because you watch it and you just go like, how did anybody remotely fall into this?
Yeah.
And then I also think it's just like, you know what? I know enough stupid people that would more or less fall into this.
100%. It keeps happening, so clearly there's something to it, I guess. So,
Yeah.
All right, Brie, what about you?
I've just been working a lot, to be honest. So, nothing that exciting. I work and I sleep, and that's about it. Although I did get to go to a dispensary the other day, so I have like so much right out of frame here is so many drugs. Yum yum, but you can't see it. So
But they're legal in her jurisdiction, so it doesn't matter.
it is legal here. So
You
I
have to
went and
clarify
purchased them
that.
legally. So
As we established previously in past shows, we're all in places where the Mary Jane is legal. So if
And
anybody
mushrooms
has,
are decriminalized for me.
I did mushrooms in the middle of the woods in West Virginia last winter. So that's a
Nice.
story. Maybe we'll talk about that on a show at one point. Maybe after like the current job stuff that I'm doing right now goes through, we'll have
Yes.
that conversation.
Yeah.
let's not incriminate
It's
ourselves,
employment,
friends.
Even though I already have, who cares? Yeah. Well, cool. So, yeah, I've had a week to say the least. I was talking about it pre-show with the guys of just like my wife's car got towed out of our apartment complex, so she had expired tags. It's just been like hell of a week. Seth has come in clutch with, notes about what we should talk about on the show. I made some slight tweaks this morning, but like, so Seth is basically the hero of Internet Friends. So
Oh,
let's,
my shoulders hurt from carrying the weight of this podcast this week.
which is
Alright,
sad because
well.
I told you I was taking all the weight off you when we were bringing this back.
You did.
So-
You lied. That's
Yes.
how most people get me to do things. They lie to me.
Yes, like I lied to you, but I lied to you. Hey, at least you don't have to edit this.
True.
True.
That is nice.
And that was a promise I made you from day one.
Very true. And you've held that up, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, all right, that's fair enough. And to be fair, like actually we're seeing traction, so like I'm not upset about like where things are going. Anyways,
I saw the last episode did pretty well
yeah.
on YouTube.
It's actually really weird because the past couple of episodes did really well on the audio only version. This was the first week where the video version did better than the audio version.
Oh,
Did we get hotter? Is that what happened? Did we all get hotter at the same time?
Must be.
Well, clearly Seth's only here for sex appeal.
Exactly, yeah.
And we have the cats here for the cat viewer audience.
Yes.
So we're like trying to hit as many places as it is. The only problem is like even though like we're doing the typical two white guys style of podcast, we did bring a female in. So.
But also a girl. So,
Yeah. But it's still white people, so
true.
Black Lives Matter, Free Palestine, and fuck the police. Just
Yes.
as general
Yes, yes,
statements.
yes.
After saying how white we are, we need to show that we're on the right side of history.
Yeah, just as a general statement. Anyways, so this week's we had a homework assignment, and it was presented by Brie. So Brie, go ahead and take away what you want to talk about.
Oh my goodness, where do I begin? So we watched She-Ra, at least the first season. Before I dive into it, how far did you all get in this?
Through the first 3 seasons.
Oh, nice. That's excellent.
So I actually just finished the first 4 seasons. I'm on the last season right now.
I am very impressed.
And I have actually seen She-Ra before, but only like passively because Emily watched it and she's a big fan.
Excellent. That's awesome. I came across this show. If any of you are familiar with Overly Sarcastic Productions, it's one of my favorite YouTube channels, and they focus a lot about like story elements and plot devices and things like that. And they talked about this show so much that I was like, I have to watch this shit. Like I had zero interest in this kind of like franchise because I was like, oh, She-Ra sounds lame as hell. But I watched it and I loved it. I like binge watched it like during the pandemic, and it is one of my favorite shows. It is very girly. It is very queer. Has so much representation, which is so beautiful, and not only with like different races of people, but also different body types, which I think is like so lovely to see, especially as like a very female-centered show. And including the main characters that have very different body types. So I love this top to bottom, and I'm interested to hear from you two.
The diversity in both skin tone and body type is something I picked up on right away and was like, that's really nice to see, especially in a kid's show. Just to show like, hey, no, all of this is okay. Like you don't have to be concerned about your body type.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah, no, and I remember watching with Emily when it first came out, and the representation aspect of it was really, really great, and it was one of those things where like not only from like a representation of race, sexual orientation, everything else, there was also just personality representation more than anything else. Like a lot of the characters are coded in very certain ways, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But like, you have characters like who are clearly like autistic, ADHD spectrum. You have characters who have a lot of personalities, and there's a lot of stuff about it where it's just like, it's just more or less a very well-rounded show where everybody has their own unique personalities and everything kind of, it's well written more than anything else is what I will say.
And the plot and lore are good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but like kind of like brings into kind of the thing where it's just like this is based off of a existing property from the 1980s with offshoot of He-Man and Master of the Universe. This was She-Ra, and like I took a little bit of time to like look back on like, okay, like what was the show like in the 1980s? Because it's not like really in the zeitgeist that a lot of people talk about. And like you compare and contrast like this show to like what they did in the 1980s. It's like, yeah, no, this is way better than anything they did back then. Going back to like the like conversation we had about RoboCop and talking about like how much the 80s sucked. Like this was a very good example of like, yeah, no, the 80s did a really bad job of like making this show versus like what this show was.
Well, it was a toy commercial.
That was it. Yeah, like they're like, hey girls, maybe you like this too. Buy, please.
Yeah. Well, if you literally just do Google image search and look at like just like kind of like, you know, original She-Ra character designs and everything, they're all just palette swapped with each other. And they're not original designs, and they're all basically designed to look like Playboy models / like Barbie doll. Like, but like this show is
that's
like,
what girls want, right?
Yeah, it's just like, hey, everybody, you should be a skinny girl with perky breasts and basically no personality. That's what we want women to be.
Absolutely.
You should be seen, not heard.
But like this show's like just like, no, like every character is their own character. They have their own design. They have their own personality. And it's like really, really well done. I will say there are some things that I will talk about in terms of like the plot and characterizations. But like it's all indicative of how well the writing is. It's not indicative of like this sucks. It's like, no, it's well written and everything is supposed to be what it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. Well, and I don't know if you all, obviously you did, but like took a moment to like look at the old character designs, because not only did they all have the same body type, but yeah, there was really, they didn't change much between the characters in terms of like outfits and things like that. Like they updated everything. For the only thing that they really kept was the names of the characters, which I know is always a hard sell when I'm talking about this show to people, because I'm like, yeah, it's Mermista, she's like the mermaid princess, but hold on, just wait. Like,
hear me out, please.
Yes, exactly. I'm glad they kept that, but yeah, everything else, like again, from body types to because yeah, if I'm not mistaken, there is one black character in the original She-Ra cast, like maybe two,
and even that's a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very light-skinned, like,
here's my thing, and we talked about this last week when you pitched this, where, like, there were some people online, it's like, they changed so much. I was just like, okay, if you are complaining about any of the changes of this show, I specifically need the FBI to, like, start a case on you. Because I have concerns.
Well, most of the backlash, honestly, which I didn't realize this because like I went back and like looked through some of it. A lot of it was based on She-Ra's body type. They really hated that she was very muscular and not like hourglassy, and that she wasn't. I know, 100%. I was like, this backlash was even worse than I remember it being, because obviously there was definitely some about blackwashing, which is not a thing that happens, by the way.
Hey, the token male character is now black.
Yes.
Okay.
So?
Who gives a fuck?
I'm gonna say if you want a white character that represents you, try every character fucking ever. So like, it's not that serious.
Here's the thing.
I'm sorry that for once in your life you're not the specialist boy. Get over it.
Not only that, is like, who the fuck is still around that has like a strong enough connection to like the previous show where that matters?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think we can all like, because even I remember like the old He-Man shows from like staying at a rec center, and they had like old VHS tapes with like He-Man on it. It's like all recycled animation, complete bullshit, and it's more or less was around to just sell toys. Like
I'm just now realizing that He-Man and Thundercats are different things.
No,
no.
Are they? Are they though?
That's a very good point. So I was like, yeah, He-Man, he holds the sword to his face and
yeah, but like again, like it's just like one of those things where it's just like, okay, who is still around who has that strong enough of attachment to that show to give a shit?
Yeah,
because like, and like at the end of the day, let's just like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I guarantee if I tried to watch like the 1980s version of She-Ra, I'd be like, this is super garbage.
Yeah, they couldn't have made a direct update because it wouldn't have worked. It would have been canceled after season 1 because it wasn't a fucking good show. And then again, it was also, all white cast, and there was nothing really fucking going on. Whereas they took these characters, updated them to the modern fucking day, added some diversity, which was like so excellent because I didn't even realize, but the voice cast is almost all non-white too. There's a couple in there, but like that's super impressive too.
That's
like
fine.
that's excellent. Yeah, you couldn't make that show today because it wasn't a fucking show. So
Yeah.
It was a cash grab, and like there's a lot of conversations about the shows from that era, especially like talking about Thundercats and He-Man and stuff. It's just like they made those shows to sell toys. They didn't make those shows to like tell a comparing narrative, where more or less. And so yeah, I'm not saying that the show is necessarily for everyone, to say the least.
probably
Like,
not. No.
I go in and watch the show, and it's just like, this is a good show. The show also was not made for me.
It's made for queer women. So
Yeah, as the cis hetero white man of the show representation, like I understand that the show was not made for me. And guess what? That's okay.
not everything's for you, as a matter of fact. So
Like if I had a like 7 to mid-teens child who like had this show on in the living room and whatnot, everything, like I'd be like, okay, cool. Like I'm not mad about it. But it was not a show that was directed at me, and that's very clear. Emily loves the show, and we've actually had arguments about the show literally since Brie has had given us this. Very specifically, just like how we feel about certain characters, and that's more or less most of the fights that I've had the last 2 weeks. Thanks, Brie.
interesting. I mean, I'd love to hear about some of that.
So okay. I hate Catra.
How dare you?
So I'm quitting the podcast. This has been so much fun, you guys. Thank you.
This is the last episode.
Here's the thing. I hate Catra, but that's why she's a great character.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair.
So, because like here, first of all, like if you can write a villain that you hate, good job. You nailed writing a villain. Point blank. She is clearly bipolar coded, more than anything else. You know, commitment issues, abandonment issues, all those things kind of baked in, and is consistently making it everybody else's problem.
Oh yeah. Nothing's her fault ever. So, but I mean, I think.
And as
That
somebody
seems more
who,
like BPD, if I'm being honest with you, than bipolar. But yeah.
but as somebody specifically who grew up with a stepmom who had those exact same personality traits, I'm just like, fuck this person. But again, I acknowledge that.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
fair.
that comes from a bad upbringing as well. Like, I think it does tackle a lot of issues with like, I don't know, like everything's Adora's fault also because when she was growing up, she was responsible for Catra, and Catra internalized that as, oh, well, if you're not going to take care of me anymore, I could just go fucking hog wild here because nobody's, my one person I had.
But see,
gone.
that was my main thing is like every time like her and Endora had like any kind of interactions, Adora's just like, hey, Catra, maybe stop doing this stuff and join us and like fuck the horde and everything else. And she's just like, no, fuck you. You left me.
Yeah.
Well,
It's like,
and there
I'm
was
asking
kind
you
of
to
that-
come with us.
Yeah, but there was kind of that also sibling rivalry where like Shadow Weaver had obviously favored Adora,
Yeah.
and there had grown a lot of resentment in Catra because of that.
Yeah. And like going to kind of the representation stuff, especially where I was talking about like not just from like a race or female or like LGBT, but just like personality based. Like I love Entrapta, just because it's just like it's just like, hi, let's turn the autism ADHD scale to like 11 and like have them not understand any social cues and whatnot, and just do the Jurassic Park thing of like, can I do something versus should I do something? I don't give a shit about whether or not I should do it. I just want to know if I
For
can.
science!
Exactly. And like, so I love that character so much. Like, I would say like Entrapta and Scorpia are my two favorite characters.
Scorpio is great.
I kept calling her Scorpina.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. No, I love Scorpia.
She was Queen Delulu. Like she
She's
really
a himbo. She's a female himbo.
Look,
I
like,
loved the scene with
as
her
a Carla.
and...
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I love the scene with her and the captain, whose name I can't remember, where they're both talking about their toxic relationships and just being like, "What's wrong with us, man?"
Seahawk.
Yeah, Seahawk.
Yeah,
It's like in season 2.
Emily loves Seahawk because he's just so fucking stupid.
He's very campy.
But yeah, no. As a Karlak simp in Baldur's Gate, like Scorpia's just like, "Hey, girl, how you doing? I realize you would never be into me, but how's it going?"
True, true. Everyone's gay in this show, so except for, like one couple. So
Yeah,
Is
and
Bo?
even they're just kind of like, yeah, they might be looking for a third.
yeah.
Yeah. Is there like a love thing happening between Bo and Glimmer, or are they exclusively just friends?
They're.
I mean, maybe.
I think Bo's ace, honestly.
That would make sense.
I think he's actually canonically bisexual. So is Glimmer. So
Well, like, his dads are. He has two dads, so.
yes.
Yeah.
He has two dads, so like, there's that aspect to it. But like,
But that was something else about representation that I liked, is that they showed a male character who could be emotional, who could be in tune
Yeah.
with like and loving without explicitly being like he's gay. Like
That-
that
actually ties into one of my critiques of the show, where it's just like so much of it, especially through the first season and some of the later seasons. Seasons 2 and 3 were shorter because like they probably felt like they didn't know how much runway they had,
Right.
so they were like got through a little bit. But like the first season and the later seasons, like a lot of the episodes are like Glimmer and Adora are arguing over what they should do, and then Bo has to play referee between the two.
He's
like,
the heart.
Bo-
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
he's got it on his shirt.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's why kind of like I always like identify Bo as like, just kind of like he's the conscious, he's like breaking the tie. But like there's so many episodes like that, it's just like, we should do this, we should do this. Bo is just like, this person's right, this person's wrong, let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I identified Bo as ace just because like it's just like it just feels like he doesn't care. But one of the things that I will say about the show is that it doesn't make it overt. Like their sexuality is not front and center. In terms like, yes, it's coded and like queer coded and everything else, but it's not making it like kind of like the main theme of the show. Like obviously as you start getting later, some things start kind of building up, but like at the same time it's just like it's not what the story is.
It's about the world ending because of portals.
Because it's space people.
Yeah.
Again, and that was one of the reasons that I was just like, I hate Catra, because like your only motivation is to screw over this one person. You don't care about anything else going on.
I've been there. Gotta be real.
And that's why I love you, Seth.
Well, especially the favored child thing. Like, again, as somebody who is one of 5 kids, like, when there is favoritism, like, you internalize that for fucking ever. And sometimes you will tear down other people just to make yourself feel better. So it's just like, I get that, especially just, and she's so far at one point that she can't stop. She's just like, okay, well, I gotta keep going.
This
I
is
don't
my
have anything
personality.
else.
Let's go.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
I have strict middle child syndrome because even though I'm the youngest between me and my biological sister, we had 5-step siblings, and like I'm lost in the mix of all of it. And that's 5-step links between 2 different households. And so like I'm more or less in like the position of just like, if I just keep my head down and don't commit felonies, I'm more or less just kind of ignored. So like I can just get away with shit.
Yeah, fair.
And that's been my life for the last 31 years.
And look at you now. No crimes you've been caught for, anyways. That's all that matters. So
Hey,
True.
such a squeaky clean record, and yes, I still failed background check to get a job at a police department.
what?
Why would you want to work at the police department?
Because they pay money.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also, I
Fair.
could have leaked. Also, I could have leaked footage to the press, and that's probably why I failed that background check.
oh.
There you go.
They
Well, you
don't
should
like
have told them that in the interview.
I didn't tell them that in the interview. They were just kind of like, "Oh, this guy has a journalism degree? Yeah, no, he's not working here."
Fair.
No,
They
he
don't
can
like
think for
that.
himself. We don't want you here.
No,
It's like,
no.
It's like, hey. So let me get this straight. This person is somebody who like has a public consciousness and does not give a fuck about authority figures. Weird. Don't want that.
Definitely not.
No.
All right, Brie, is there anything else you kind of want to talk about on the subject?
Not necessarily. I'm glad you both liked it. I think it gets even better as the seasons go on. And I just love I don't know. I could just gush about this show forever because I just love pretty much everything about it. And that they created these, what were very simple characters and with no arcs, and they created this really diverse story and like you said, diverse different personality traits and I don't know, you could even though Katra is like, a real shithead, you could still kind of empathize with her in terms of like, oh wow, you were dealt a real shitty hand and yeah, maybe you're absolutely taking it too far, but I get it. So, especially a Glimmer in later seasons. I don't know if this is at the point you're at, Seth, but she gets kind of questionable in later seasons too, and she's supposed to be the good guy. So it's just like I like that they handled all of this in such an interesting and cool way. And again, just a very beautiful girly queer anthem, and that makes me very happy. Also, the transformation sequence I watch every single time because it just makes me giddy.
Emily gets
the intro.
Yeah, Emily gets mad at me every time I click the like skip intro button. Just
oh my god!
Like not because I hate the intro, but just like, look, I only have so much time to watch this, and I need to like at least like speed up time a little bit. But at the same time, great opening theme song.
Yes.
I don't like the theme song.
Okay, well, anyways, this is my last episode of the podcast.
Congratulations. Hey, Seth, thank you for redeeming me for my shitty take.
It's honestly, it's just like a girly pop anthem, and it makes me real amped up. And I also like that they change the title card every time in terms of like what's happening in the show. That always makes me very happy that they change like the animation or that final card. They'll change who's sitting there. That's a small detail, but I really love that. So
yeah, no, I think it was after season 3 that Emily was just like, "Oh yeah, no, Entrapped is dead." It's like she's not dead. don't. It's like she's not in the title card. It's like she's not dead. She's literally on an island, fucking ruling it right now. Don't fucking tell me she's dead. I know better. I know how this works.
In fairness, I think my problem with the theme song is that it's really catchy and I can't get it out of my head after I hear it.
I shout it along every single time. It just fucking amps me up.
We're gonna win in the game.
Exactly.
No, it's a good theme song. And like I said, again, it's definitely not a show that was made for me, but I acknowledge like this is a good show. This is a very good show.
Yeah, it's very good.
All right.
Excellent. I'm glad y'all like it.
Cool.
Yay.
So, kind of leading into the next segment of the topic, and this was something that Seth had added. This is technically an adaptation of a previous show, as we previously talked about. So, Seth posed the question, what makes a good adaptation? Seth, you want to take this over?
Did I?
I put that actually.
Oh, that was you? All right, Brie, then I thought it was all Seth.
Take the credit.
Well, now I feel guilty because I was giving Seth credit when it's Brie, so like, fuck you, Seth.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I kind of touched on this a little bit, but it's just like, I think you have to acknowledge, at least I think it's difficult to make a good adaptation. I think the example that I always go back to is like Watchmen, which is like, I think it's actually a great adaptation, but people fucking hate that movie. And arguably a lot of it is like panel for panel, except for the ending, which they changed, which they made it better. But they updated the costumes, they updated so many great things, but that movie is very fucking divisive. So I think it's very hard to pinpoint exactly what makes a good adaptation, but I think She-Ra is a great example of this working. But I will say, not that it was easy by any means, but they did have the benefit of like, they just had like a bunch of flat characters to deal with. So they were able to expand quite a bit, but they didn't have to.
They had so much to work with at that. They literally could have done anything, but the stuff that they did, I think, was very good.
100%.
Talking about the kind of Watchmen aspect of it, I think a lot of it was soured to the fact that this was like a Zack Snyder adaptation.
People didn't hate Zack Snyder when that came out, though.
He was starting on his like hate arc at that time. I feel like that's actually what started it more than anything else. But like, I do agree that like this was like at a really weird time of like comic book movie adaptations where like there was a lot of stuff where people were maybe doing stuff that was comic accurate but didn't translate well to screen.
Yeah.
And so Zack Snyder did just make basically like he used the comic as a storyboard more or less and like frame for frame, shot for shot. And I feel like that's where he works best. It's like where he has a visual medium that basically curtails it. And then of course changing the ending, which, you know, we could talk about Alan Moore and
We
his
could.
Great wizard that he
sensibilities.
is.
Yeah, I think this actually goes with. I'm pretty sure what was Seth's topic that he put in was something. Frank Miller is a bastard
Yeah,
because same era.
it is.
Yeah, same era, but yeah. So like, it's one of those things where it's just like there's always this weird struggle in media, especially when you're talking about adaptation, where do you basically just make a one for one like recreation of the source material, which is what a lot of fans say they want,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't necessarily translate to other audiences who aren't familiar with that source material.
Or even just into other mediums. Because
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
Stephen King bought the rights back for The Shining in the early 90s, and he made
Yep.
a miniseries version of it. And it's basically just the book on screen, and the thing
Mhm.
sucks. Like it's
Yeah,
bad.
it's widely panned, and the
I own
Stanley
it.
Kubrick's Shining is literally considered to be one of the best like horror thriller movies ever made.
And it's a terrible adaptation of the book. It only takes some of the themes.
Yeah. And so there's always kind of like that struggle, right? Where it's just kind of like, because I always kind of like if we all grew up in the time where the Harry Potter books and the Harry Potter movies were coming out relatively around the same time, right?
What's Harry Potter? I'm not familiar with that franchise.
So a person who hates trans people wrote a book about wizards and witches.
Stupid fucking turf.
Put in a lot of anti-Semitic like imagery regarding like banks and goblins, and basically like they were just like kids loved it and didn't understand any of the things going on, and then eventually they made movies about it, and then the people who were in the movies grew up and were just like, hey, this person sucks.
And white people love it.
Oh god, they
Yes,
do.
very specifically. But like regardless, it's just like you talk to people who are just like, it's not as good as the books. It's like, well, was the book that good?
Yeah. Was it? Yeah. I don't know. Adaptation is a very difficult thing because, like you were saying, moving from medium to medium, some things don't translate well. I mean, even going from comics to screen,
Hmm.
some things just don't look right. They don't fit properly. It's very difficult to do a good adaptation.
Well, very specifically, the narrative devices don't mesh.
That's true.
Like trying to do a TV show to a movie is just like, hey, like you don't necessarily need to have like all of this condensed into 2 hours. You can like do this over the course of like several like episodes and basically tell a more cohesive story. Whereas you try to condense it, it doesn't necessarily translate well.
Yeah.
Same thing goes for comics. Like comics is just like comics are all over the fucking place.
Hmm.
Like there are like multiple issues, and then it's just like, hey, to follow along on this storyline, you need to go buy this other comic book series over here and follow that along. It's just like it's all over the place, and like that doesn't work in like television necessarily. And this is kind of the thing that like I feel like is causing the most frustration in like Marvel and DC movies, where it's just like they've tried to adopt a comic book model,
Yeah.
and like it worked for like a certain amount of time, but now we're getting into that like section of just like it's way too hard to follow at this point. There's too much media, there's too much canon.
Yeah. There's way too much. And we've talked about it before, but like I don't feel like I should have to watch 6 TV shows to be able to understand one movie.
Yeah, and like I've always had this opinion where it's just like, hey, just so everybody knows, canon is bullshit. Because the thing that you're
That
reading
damn
right,
King James.
but the thing you're reading right now that is canon will be uncanonized like somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
Because at some point they're gonna like get so far along to where it's just like this doesn't make sense anymore, so we have to either make it make sense or we're just gonna cut it. So
Yeah.
like don't be married to any of the stuff that you're reading. And like that's a lot of things that I tell people who are getting into comics. It's like, dude, just start picking up comic books and reading the ones that you like, and don't worry about any stuff that came before, because at some point it's not gonna matter.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes the stuff that's cut out needs to be cut out to get
Yeah.
to the actual point of the story. Like you look at Jurassic Park. the movie there it's a great adaptation. The movie ends before the third act of the book starts.
Yep.
Mm.
And like you just don't need that third act ultimately to tell the story about science and everything that you're trying to tell.
Yeah. And so this kind of leads into the thing that is the most newsworthy in terms of like us getting into that. So X-Men 97 just came out this week with the first 2 episodes. And believe it or not, it actually has really good critical reviews. It actually has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It got an 8 from
Yeah.
IGN. And more or less just like everybody's just kind of like, this was a very good continuation of like the 80s or the 90s X-Men cartoon that like maybe some of us grew up with.
Yeah.
I
And
haven't
you
seen
know,
it yet, but it looks really, really good.
And
And the voice
I
acting's
am
similar, yeah?
literally planning on watching it later today and like kind of getting catch up on it. Like obviously you've had like your typical internet trolls like complaining about certain aspects of it, but everybody
Mm.
that I'm familiar with has basically jumped on and
They
been like,
made Gambit bi. How dare they?
no, they
Come
didn't
on.
even make Gambit bi. They were just like, he's wearing a pink crop top, and I'm just like, do you not understand who Gambit as a character is?
I'm like, he seemed always very queer coded to me. Like, am I wrong?
Oh God, the Cajun man who basically was just like horny for everybody and like shoots pink energy out of his hands is somehow wearing a crop top in the 90s? What?
How dare he?
Yeah, but like luckily most of the people I follow have basically just been like, these people are stupid, we're not listening to them, which I appreciate.
That's all I've seen. On TikTok, I've just seen people making fun of people who think that.
Yeah, but
Crop
there's
tops are comfortable also. Like, everyone should wear crop tops.
honestly, like, so like as somebody who is as big as I am, and like you guys have both seen me in person,
Mhm.
You are
Like-
giant, man.
yeah, like 10 years ago, I've only gotten bigger since then, but like I have a lot of shirts that fit me well up here, but then like the like length of them just starts shortening over time.
Mhm.
And so like
Crop
I'm just
tops
kind
for
of
everyone, is
like-
what you're saying.
basically that's basically what it's coming down to. But no, so like I'm excited to watch it. It seems like everybody's pretty happy with it, and like it has good more or less representation of what the characters were in the comics, which the X-Men, like going back to the adaptation thing, like the X-Men have not always been very kind to adaptation.
No, it's been hard to do a good X-Men.
Like I mean, like out of how many of the X-Men movies like have been good? Like 2?
Oof.
And we can argue which 2 those are.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which two are you meaning?
How much time you got?
I have nostalgia for X2, but I've recently found out some stuff about that production that I'm not happy with.
I was gonna say, I remember really liking that one.
I was about like I don't know anything about the production side of it, but I was about to say X2 and Logan are the only 2 good X-Men movies in my opinion.
Those were my two. Yeah. Well, Days of Future Past, I think is okay.
I've actually never seen that one.
I've seen it once, so maybe I shouldn't.
I don't
say that.
remember it, so maybe it wasn't good.
Like that
I did see
that,
it.
that's the one that I keep telling myself I need to watch because that seems to be like the only other X-Men movie that seems worth watching at this point.
That's fair. To my memory, I think that's an apt description.
Yeah, Apocalypse, like I looked at the trailers and was instantly like, I'm out. Nope.
Fair.
It's just like I might have been into Olivia Munn like 10 years ago, but now just like, yeah, I know too much.
Oh, Olivia.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of things that have disappointed us, Seth, you were hyping up the Star Wars Battlefront video game re-release a couple of weeks ago.
I have a lot to say. I have a lot to
Cool.
say.
Let's go. Let's go.
You have the floor.
So, when it comes to the servers not working at launch, that's fucked. I didn't have to deal with that because I played the story mode the first night and then just did instant action because I had a PlayStation 2 when I was a kid. I didn't have online. I wanted the nostalgia kick. So I didn't have to deal with any of that. It is bullshit that they are re-releasing the PC versions of these games on Steam for more than the original releases are.
Oh,
That's stupid.
yikes.
So there's a lot of stuff that I know about this. So Aspire is the development company that's in charge of this, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And basically, for whatever reason, they are the ones who've got in charge of all of these like mid 2000s like classic Star Wars games, because they were in charge of like Republic Commando, KOTOR, anything that's basically been ported, and they've done a lot
I
of
think
ports.
they did Pod Racer too. Yeah.
Yeah, but they've all been super spotty at best. Like there's been like a huge track record of them not doing super well with basically how they've done these ports. And so with them doing this like re-release where there is supposed to be like huge online servers, multiplayer kind of stuff, and there was a lot of hype for this.
There was.
Especially
64-player rooms.
Yeah, especially in regards to the fact that like a lot of people had a lot of problems with the last two Battlefronts that DICE did.
Yeah.
And so people like were really like, because believe it or not, I actually in my Steam library have the 2005 Battlefront 2 in my library. The problem with that is that it doesn't run on modern hardware. Like my computer cannot run it at all. Like I would have to create a virtual machine in Windows Vista in order to run that game. Like it is like impossible to run on modern hardware.
See, that I didn't know.
Yeah, and so in order to like, so that's why I was excited for it. It's like, oh cool, I get to play classic Battlefront now, and all that kind of stuff. And somehow you still fuck that up.
Yeah. I will say, playing it as a single-player experience alone, there are bugs. It's still fun, and it still gave me the nostalgia kick that I wanted. Mm-hmm. And so I'm happy with my purchase, but I understand that I am in the minority here.
Yeah. As Nintendo Switch owners, we all accept the fact that we play video games that are inherently flawed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brie, what's the worst video game you've had to play that you still loved?
Oh man. Well, let me just pull up my Steam library.
The way you said, like, "Oh," made me think you were excited to answer that. Like, "Oh, I got it."
Like, oh, baby.
I do.
She was just like, "How many fucked up games do I own?"
Oh my gosh. You know, oh my gosh. Okay, what was the question again? Say it again.
What's the worst like running game? Like it does not work the way it's supposed to that you still absolutely enjoy. I know we talked about Pokemon like a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't play Pokemon enough to be mad enough about that, and I'm like, I still had a fun time playing it. I will say, and this is going to be controversial just to me because this is how I met my partner, but we played It Takes Two together. And I think that game's kind of a hot mess, honestly. It's just like mechanically, it's all over the place. Some of the mechanics are not as fun. Some of the mechanics don't work as well. It was especially frustrating to play with my partner on stream because there were some things where like the audience was yelling at me. They're like, "It's just this," and I'm like, "It's not working." So I'm like, the game does not work. The story is super fucking goofy. So I'm just like, yeah. If I had to pick something, I was like, I didn't have to buy it though, so I guess I'm not that mad at it.
I was about to say, isn't It Takes Two an indie title?
Is it? Maybe.
It's not a AAA title.
You might be right on that.
I don't know who developed that game.
And I've been playing Chicken Journey recently, and that's been a delight. So
that's fair. But yeah, no, like I was actually really excited for the Star Wars Battlefront, but I started seeing like the stuff coming out about the servers especially, and I was just like, that kind of made me go like, yeah, I'll maybe wait up. But like, again, like Aspire as a company is like pretty well known for like putting out something and not really supporting it after they launch it, so that like kind of has me a little hesitant.
Evidently, they did say they're going to release patches.
Yeah, but that also comes down to, are they?
That's fair.
Yeah,
that is fair.
Because like again, because they were supposed to be coming out with the Knights of the Old Republic remake that was supposed to launch.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be a PS5 like launch exclusive. It was eventually going to come to other things, but like it was going to be a PS5. But like that basically has hit development hell. And like when I found out it was like they were the ones developing it, I was just like, why are you having a company that you only have porting your old games to other consoles in charge of creating a whole remake? Like that seems like a bad use of resources, and the fact that like it's now hit like development hell is just like, yeah, Disney, come get your boy. Just like Maybe redistribute your resources just a little bit and maybe kind of figure it out.
Well, they just bought the makers of Fortnite, so everything's going to be moving over there.
I don't want to think about that. That's too much depression.
Brie, you mentioned that there's a Stardew Valley? No.
Yeah,
No, you're right.
I'll
correct,
remember.
you're correct.
Yay!
Yeah, so Stardew Valley. I mean, yeah, speaking of, I don't know, a lot of bang for your buck on that. Because I mean, Stardew Valley's what, like $20? And I just double checked. It came out in 2016, so it has been around for quite a while, and has pretty consistently had free updates. And it just came out with it's one of the largest patches it's ever put out. And again, you just did it for free because that's who he is, and I'm like, it just goes to show because that has the fact that one, people are still fucking playing this game regularly,
Right.
and are willing to restart this game again. And I know personally I have the game on 3 different consoles because I love it so much and I just wanted to make sure I had access to it. Most people I know have like hundreds if not thousands of hours in this game. So it can be done. And this is just an indie developer because I believe initially he just did like the whole thing by himself. And now he has like a very small team. And yeah, this game came out oh my gosh, 8 years ago. So and it's still kicking and he's still doing free updates because he's just like, I just love this game and I love that you guys love it too. Here's a cool little update. They have new outfits for winter. Have fun. So I just think that's so impressive. Like Stardew is really something special. That's all I really had on that, but I just wanted to gush about it because I love it.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And I feel like that's actually where at least like, hardcore gaming industry is going. Because like if you look at what Larian's been doing with Baldur's Gate, like they've been updating that thing consistently to where like not just like little patches here and there to fix things. Like they've added story, they've added like certain kind of dialogue beats. They've added a lot of content since that game's launched. And they just came out like last week and saying like, hey, we're not planning on making Baldur's Gate 4 anytime soon, and there's no DLC coming from this game. We're just doing our thing. And I feel like that's actually almost a better way for like certain game developers, especially for something like a Stardew Valley, of just like, look, we don't need to make a whole new game.
Yeah.
We just need to like update the game that we already have going for the players who are still playing it and the people who are maybe just getting into it.
It's the Minecraft model.
Yeah. And like there's certain games that it's just like you wish would get on this model specifically, especially like in the sports game where you're just like, why the hell do you have to make a new Madden or a new FIFA every year? Like you can literally just update the rosters and just do like, simple patches for like the simple gameplay type stuff every year. You don't need to be making a whole new game that you charge $60-$70 for.
No,
yeah,
not at all.
I was gonna say, or releasing like granted, I know this from like just like side knowledge, honestly, but like I know like a lot of developers are releasing games that are like not finished, and then just like do a DLC that they have to pay for later to like make their game function, or some like patches here and there. Like I know this is like really big in like the Splatoon community because I think like they fully released like the 3rd game and it's like just not a finished game. And I mean, granted, I know Nintendo gets away with that a lot more than anybody else.
Yeah, Blizzard
I'm hoping that goes away because I'm like, I think people are catching on.
Yeah, Blizzard got a lot of shit for that when they came out with the second Overwatch game, where it's just like, what the fuck did you guys do differently from the previous Overwatch? And like they promised like a PvP, PvE thing that they got rid of completely. It's just like, so what the fuck was the point?
Well, I think AAA developers took the wrong lesson from No Man's Sky, where like they released a game that was not good and then took it upon themselves to make it good for free, and everyone went, hey, we can just release something broken and then charge people to fix it later.
Yeah,
and like Baldur's Gate like did almost the opposite, where they released early access, where it's just like, this is not the finished game, but you can play it.
Which, that's nice, but I've heard so many tales of people on Steam saying like, Hey, it's in early access, and it's been in early access for 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the teetering kind of like, yeah, problem.
You held that pose so well, Aaron, that I thought your video had frozen.
Wah,
Amazing.
Hopefully
I had to
that's the
look to
thumbnail.
Brie to be like, wait, am I still going? Can people still hear me?
We're good.
I will put in an effort to make that the thumbnail. But yeah, no, like it is a weird thing, and I feel like game development is in this weird thing. Like they have to put something out, and like early access, like can work, but like it has to be done in a way. It's just like we're only letting a few amount of people in, so we can like fix bugs and make everything good for launch.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if you have like an early access thing, but like everybody can more or less go into it, it's like how's that any different from just launching a game?
Yeah.
Like it's this weird thing that they have to balance. And I don't necessarily know how anybody navigates that, but it's also one of those things where it's just like we're in this era now where like we want AAA people to, you know, hey, just take the fucking time on the game. Like if the game's not ready, don't even announce it. Like I don't want to know. Like if you have a sequel for a game that I'm really hyped for, don't even tell me that it's a game yet until like you're pretty sure like okay, it's gonna be good to go day one.
I don't need it on Christmas Day. You know what I mean? Like I could buy it whenever. So.
Right? Like Fable 4 is coming. We know Fable 4 is a thing, but I'm also like sitting there just kind of like I don't want to touch that until I know it's an actual
Absolutely
thing that's worth playing.
Well, and that sucks that like it's almost at a point where you can't really get excited about something because it's like, oh, I love this series. I'm gonna wait to make sure it's actually good before I buy it, instead of just allowing yourself to be excited.
Yeah, they keep dropping Mass Effect 4 things, and I'm just like saying, it's just like, you guys
Wasn't
fucked up and dropped. That's a whole thing.
Okay.
First off, we don't talk about Andromeda.
Okay.
I played through Mass Effect Legendary Edition 4 times before I was like, okay, I'm gonna try Andromeda. And I played Andromeda and was just like, I see why everybody hates this game, and I will never play this game ever again.
All right.
So, but yeah, so there's another Mass Effect game like in the like pipeline, and even I'm just kind of looking at like, I don't know if I even want it at this point.
super fair. This is why I play indie games and nothing else, because they're fun and silly and don't cost that much money.
Indie games are great.
Oh
So
yeah,
good.
absolutely. And they're only getting better is the thing. It's just like, especially in the time now, like you have a lot of AAA developers who are laying off their staff. And a lot of those people just go on and just make their own indie games. And they're just like, hey, like this isn't necessarily like the next Halo or Call of Duty, but it's a fun little game that you can play.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, anyways. So, what have your guys' For You pages looked like in the last couple of weeks?
Over the past couple days, it's been shit because there's like 3 songs going around TikTok. One's about some boots. There's a Beyonce song, and that's all I'm fucking getting.
Oh my god, I know.
You too. Hate it. And then that Dead Dog song. Are you guys seeing that one?
Oh my god,
No.
I keep seeing the responses to that, and I'm just
I
like,
don't want to.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm
if my
over
phone
it.
is picking up the audio right now, I hope I don't see this.
Yeah, I keep getting responses to it too, and I can't do it. But before that, it was everybody realizing Nickelodeon is a horrible thing. Is that where you were going with this?
Yes, I was. I was basically because basically that's what the last week of my algorithm has been the stuff coming out from the Quiet on Set documentary that is now on Max. I have not watched it because I don't have Max. Spoiler alert: I am a former Warner Brothers Discovery employee. Do not speak for David.
Will remember.
Don't speak for David Zaslav of the company. So just putting that out there. But yeah, so there's been stuff coming out from that. And I was talking a little bit pre-show with you guys where it's just like, you know, a lot of the stuff that's come out, I've been like, didn't we already know this?
Yeah. I think for a lot of people though, it's just having it. Well, also we're much more aware of the entertainment industry than I think the
Yeah.
average person is,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
and so we tend to hear these things a little bit sooner, especially you working directly in it, Aaron. But uh, I think it was more about compiling all of the evidence into one place for people to be like, "Oh, look, this is terrible."
Yeah. And it was kind of interesting because I was thinking about it previously. Um, all of the shows that are involved in this were like obviously Dan Snyder produced shows on Nickelodeon. So you have your Amanda show, the Drake and Joshes, the Zoe 101s, the iCarlys. And I look back and I think about the shows that I did not watch on Nickelodeon, and it was all of those shows.
I watched the Amanda Show and all that.
Well, like I did watch all that, and I did watch the Amanda show, but like I think it starts back at the Amanda show. I remember watching the Amanda show and being like, something about this doesn't sit right to me. And at that age, I was at the target demographic for these shows.
That's fair. I didn't pick up on that, although I was being groomed by a church at that time, so a lot of that would have
You
gone
were
over my head.
preoccupied, absolutely.
Yeah.
But no, it really was one of those things because like I remember watching the Amanda show. I remember seeing Drake and Josh and iCarly. Like I saw them in passing, but every time they were on, I was just like, something about these feel off, and I don't want to watch them.
That's
And
fair.
like, and part of me like again goes back to the thing. It's just like, hey, these shows weren't necessarily made for me, and so, but like also at the same time, like I'm technically the right age demographic for these shows as they're premiering. They're on at the times that I would be watching Nickelodeon. Like, there's no reason why I shouldn't be watching these shows, but just like something about watching the shows always just gave me like a certain level of cringe to where it's just like, and like part of me thought it was just the humor. Like maybe I just don't get the humor of the show. But then
That's fair.
But then you hear these things coming out. It's like, and the people who are running it and all the things that are coming out, it's just like maybe that's why.
Yeah, maybe you were recognizing some of it.
Like there was like a level of awkwardness that like just did not sit right with me.
I can see that. Well, the other thing too about Nickelodeon is that they have a history of this that predates Dan Snyder. The creator of Ren and Stimpy also was a pedophile. Right. And did you hear Dan Snyder's comments afterwards where he said like, if I go down, all of Nickelodeon comes down with me? What else is happening there?
Yeah. I do feel like there was, at least in this era, there was some separation between like the animated side and the live action side. And there's been some stuff going on. I don't know if you've been following on with the people who were on like Ned's Declassified, which was on at the same time. That had
a weird group.
They're a weird group, but like they are like so completely separated from it to where like they're even just kind of like, look, we did not know anything that was going on over there because we were just like siloed in our own thing. And like I think the showrunner specifically were just like, don't fuck with that.
It really seemed like watching the show that Dan Snyder kind of built and surrounded himself with people and then was like, this is my group, this is my team, and we don't interact with other shows.
Yeah. Which is pretty part and parcel for people who are doing shitty things.
Yeah, they all get together and protect each other, much like at church.
Let's talk about our religious trauma, Seth.
Oh, honestly, this show triggered some memories that I don't want to talk about. Right.
Now off to our religious trauma correspondent, Seth 23, to talk about the recent cult shit.
I love that. I love that for you.
so fun.
I don't know anything about Brie's religious trauma. I don't have religious trauma because I grew up atheist, so.
Same. Yeah, I don't have any, so I'm sorry.
Sorry, Seth. This is your bag, not ours.
Yeah. Well, and if we want to get dark for a minute, there were lots of points in this documentary where, like, I've seen people on TikTok be like, "That's so wild. How could that happen?" And having grown up in a church youth group, I'm like, "Yeah, that's just how those people act. It's just, it's disgusting." and it's weird. And when you're
Yeah,
a kid, you feel something's wrong with it, but you can't put a finger on it because you don't know.
Yeah.
right. And I feel like as people from the outside, I can't speak for Brie, but like it's one of those things where like when you do see that stuff looking from the outside, you go, it's just like, are they okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's always kind of that thing about it. It's just like, and like every now and again you interact with somebody who is in those kind of circumstances, and like you talk to them and you're just like, okay, are you okay? You try to level with them of just like, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know how to react.
Yeah. That's why child actors shouldn't be a thing. I think. Because I feel like I'm kind of just like, as we're having this conversation, I haven't watched the documentary or anything, but I'm like, I feel like I'm coming to the realization that just like, I feel like most of like the child actors that we grew up with are like not okay in general. Like all of them are fucked up in a variety of different ways. It's just like, I
Yeah.
feel like this is a pretty common thread through all of this, that like bad shit happened to all of them, whether it was from their own parents or from something actually on set. Maybe we don't put kids through all of this shit. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, there's very few of them that you can look at and be like, there are like the exceptions to the rule.
For
I'm not going to
sure.
say like all of them are fucked up, but there are definitely like there's the trend and like the common themes, and like it always comes down to like the parents, and like it's this thing of just like perpetuating the trauma, right?
Mhm.
Like, and like this is like a big theme of like what I understand of the show, especially where like a lot of it revolves around like Drake Bell and his situation.
Yeah, I
Where
was
it's
I
just
was about to mention that because speaking of parents, when he started at Nickelodeon, when he started acting, his dad was the one who was very
Yeah.
involved. His parents were divorced, and his
Mhm.
dad shielded him from everything and brought up points about Brian Peck, I think was his last name,
Yeah, that's the
saying
one
like,
who like a lot of people have been talking about.
yeah, he's the one who assaulted Drake, and he was like, his Drake's dad was like, this kid's not okay. Do you guys see this? And he was pushed out. And then was basically Drake was convinced by Brian and Dan to like, hey, how about you bring your mom in instead? And his mom didn't give a shit. And then that's when the assault started happening.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
But like,
scary.
but yeah, it is one of those things where it's just like there is this weird like perpetuation of trauma, and like we've all seen the like horrible examples of like show parents,
Yep.
and when kids get into show business, whether it's like pageants, TV, modeling, like it's just like the parents are the ones who are forcing the kids in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, there's one mother on this. Well, I think it's the second episode where she's talking about like she got her daughter involved in it because I wanted to be an actor someday, and I never
Yep.
had the opportunity. And then when she found out that like her daughter was emailing with a PA on the show who was sending her nudes, she was like, well, I didn't want to call the cops because I didn't want them to think I was a bad mother.
Yikes.
not calling the cops makes you a bad mother. Anyways.
Exactly.
But no, like it is that thing where it's just kind of like there is this perpetration and like whatnot, and like there's the idea, especially in the entertainment industry, is that you keep your mouth shut because your career is on the line, your future is on the line, all these money's on the line. You specifically like don't do it, and like a lot of the reason, like again going back to the whole like, didn't we already know about this? There were people who did not sign the NDAs, who didn't take a payout, who did talk about the stuff, but they only talked about it from their perspective that they had.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is just more or less filling out some of the gaps. Like I can't remember her name. She was the girl on iCarly who played the best friend.
Yes.
Jenny McCart.
Jeanette
McCarthy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't remember the last name, but it is Jenny McCarty.
And like,
McCurdy. Jeanette McCurdy.
she came out with the book. I think like a year ago or a little bit more. That was like, I'm glad my mom's dead. Going back to like parents being a problem in this situation.
Mhm.
But like she talked about the Stan Snyder thing. She pointed out a couple of stuff and like more or less kind of just like, hey, like it was shit. And like I don't really know what else to say about it, and like there was again like maybe there were certain details that were missed in the book, but again that created the zeitgeist of like we're all aware of what this was, but the documentary has created more or less filled in some of the gaps. And like especially the stuff that like happened with Amanda Bynes, like you saw, I think it was like what was it like 5-6 years ago where like she was clearly having a breakdown on social media, and like you were kind of seeing how she was devolving, and you were just like, what the fuck happened?
There's some very unsettling footage that was aired on television of her and Dan, and it's not great.
Yeah. But yeah, so more of the story is...
I don't want to say that it's not my story to tell. I don't want to be one of those people who's like, well, clearly something happened to Amanda, but clearly something happened to Amanda.
I mean, again, like, it's one thing, like, when a lot of stuff gets left open to our interpretation, people are going to make certain leaps. All of us, I think, all have dealt with certain traumas and certain points of our lives where it's just like, hey, I don't want other people to speak for me for what the fuck happened.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I will kind of leave that at that. But, like, at the end of the day, it's just like, I really hope that the people who were victimized by this, like, get some kind of closure out of what's going on right now and can move on with their lives and be happy and healthy and successful. And for people who are dealing with some shit, go get help. That's all I'm going to say.
We don't have the resources present on hand to be able to give those to you, but the internet, you can find them.
We're all mentally unhealthy millennials. We don't know what the fuck we're doing.
No.
On any
I called the
level.
suicide hotline. They hung up on me.
Said no.
Suicide hotline has my number blocked. They were just like, he's looking for attention.
Yep. It's because I kept calling them and asking them stupid questions.
It's like, hey, so how much of this bottle of Vicodin could I take before I overdose?
Jeez.
No, I got their number and Cha-Cha's number mixed up, and they've never forgiven me since. That's a millennial reference.
It's a deep fucking cut.
Deep cut.
It's a joke for 4 people, and 3 of them are right here.
I would say that 4th person is loving it. They are rolling right now.
All right. Well, speaking of mental illness, Joker 2.
So, I've never seen the Joker movie. I don't give a shit about this remake of Falling Down in Taxi Driver.
I was about to say, I didn't watch Joker because I was just like, I've seen enough Martin Scorsese movies to know exactly what the plot is. I don't need to watch this movie.
That was my exact take when it came out. But if you're gonna make the sequel a musical, if you're gonna do that, you need to have original songs exclusively. And I don't like that it's a jukebox musical. That's all I have to say about it. How do you guys feel?
I think the jukebox musical angle is the only good thing about this, to be honest.
Well, I was about to say, considering... Well, considering the fact that, like, the first movie, as we just said, were basically them remaking Martin Scorsese movies... Like, them doing jukebox musicals just makes sense because they can't create an original movie to save their life.
That is fair.
Yeah. Also, I've been saying this for, like, I feel like decades now. Can we get over the Joker? Can we please fucking get over the Joker? Like, he's not that interesting of a fucking character. And in fact, he's even less interesting when Batman's not fucking there. And also for Batman to have like one of the most like robust fucking rogues galleries, there are so many other villains that we can spend more time on that I'd love to fucking see. But they're like, but what about the Joker again? People know who the Joker is. Let's do Joker again. I'm like, we've fucking seen this shit. I'm done with it. Nobody fucking cares. So I've been burned out of this shit forever.
Preaching to the choir.
No, like, you're absolutely right. I don't get this weird obsession with the Joker. Oh, he's so twisted. It's society. It's Heath Ledger's performance. Is that what did it? Is that why everyone is obsessed with him?
That was definitely part of it. Yeah, even growing up, like, I didn't really care for the Joker, to be completely honest.
No.
Like, honestly, my favorite Batman villain was Mr. Freeze, actually.
That's not a bad take. I liked Joker growing up, but my favorite was the Riddler because I loved Jim Carrey as a kid.
Yeah. And, like, it was not the Arnold Schwarzenegger Mr. Freeze, just everybody. It was the animated series Mr. Freeze, just so everybody, gets a clear
Heart of
clear
Ice
distinction.
is a great episode.
Yeah, but, like,
Okay.
go ahead.
I rewatched Batman and Robin Arnold is earning that paycheck. He's doing some good acting there.
Arnold doesn't half-ass anything. That man commits to a role,
Like,
whether or
when he
not
calls-
it's a good role, but he commits.
Yeah.
He does commit. He calls Bane Mr. Bane, and I'm like, that makes sense for someone who's like academic. He's like, oh, I'll call you by your last name and be like polite about it. All the ice puns suck, but like,
Honestly, if they just like deleted all of the ice puns, I feel like that would have worked so much better.
He'd have no dialogue.
Cool party.
I don't think.
it's true. That's true.
But no, like regardless, like yeah, no, but you're right. Like there's this weird obsession with the Joker, and like a lot of it, I feel like is, for lack of a better term, incel culture.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Well, and
like,
there's also, we talked about this a bit in the Has Been Hotel episode, but there's also this weird glorification of the Harley Quinn Joker relationship, where it's like people love that relationship. It's an abusive relationship, and you shouldn't.
Always has been, like, very blatantly. Like, in the animated series, like, he hits her on screen. Like, it's just, like, this is not, like, a hot take. Like, this has been happening. And again, also, well, actually, I don't know if this is canon anymore, but, like, isn't she with Poison Ivy now? Like, let her go do her own thing.
Yeah.
I was literally about to say, like, and it's just like, it's like for anybody who's a comic book reader, it's just like Harley is better post Joker breakup and like in like hooking up with Ivy thing, and she's doing her own thing. Like, I remember when I got into like, comics generally, it's like Harley Quinn comics were like the basically, separate to Deadpool, like the mirror to Deadpool of just like, she's self-aware, she's more or less kind of all over the place, and like anything that's going on in the Gotham City, she's just like, isn't this ridiculous? Like, yeah, who cares? But like, she's better character without the Joker.
Yeah. Her show is great. The animated series is phenomenal.
I've heard good things. Yeah, I've not seen it.
But yeah, no, like it is one of those things where it's just like that relation. Like anytime I see somebody who romanticizes that relationship, it's just like, okay, here's a phone number for somebody I need you to call.
Please, I know. It's just,
For the love of God.
I know. And
Are you okay?
Yeah, I will say, what if it's just a lack of trust in audience in general, that they think if we like use somebody like Hush or something, which also would be great. I would love to see a Hush movie. So I don't know if there is one already, but
there's an animated one that they fucked up the ending on.
Oh, that sucks. That's such a bummer because
going back to the adaptation thing, I don't trust anybody to do a good Hush adaptation. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who could make that work.
But still, anybody else, like, I don't think I feel like there's, again, maybe a lack of trust, just like, look, it's that thing you like, here you go, please take. So, like, I just don't know if that's what it is with the Joker, where it's just like, it's recognizable, people will probably go see it, and again, the whole incel thing. But I'm like, trust the audience. He has a great rogues gallery. There's so many characters I'd love to see who I don't think I've ever seen on screen, or at least very limited. So, give it to us.
Speaking as a former Warner Brothers Discovery employee, they're only going to do stuff that is going to make money.
Yes. Stuff that we've seen before and stuff that's going to make money. But you're right. The only villains we ever get in Batman are Joker, Mr. Freeze, Riddler, Two-Face. Those are the only villains we really get.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good ones.
Clayface.
Oh,
Clayface would be such a good villain in a movie. And they don't use that.
No.
I don't know. Like, but yeah, no, and like honestly, and this kind of goes back to like with the X-Men 97 thing that we talked about previously. Like, I kind of want them to get back to animation more than live action, because I feel like there's more breadth of what you can do with animation than you can do with live action. Because like, yeah, Clayface maybe doesn't work for a live action film. He absolutely works for an animated thing, because there's so many things that you can do with them.
No, you're right.
But anyways,
I'm still waiting for my Babyface movie.
Oh god, that would be so good.
There's lots of options. I was literally going to look up the rogues gallery, because I'm like, I feel like now that I'm saying this, I'm like, I know there's a ton. I just can't think of any off the top of my head. But I know there's
Clayface and Babyface are the only two I could think of. Where the puppet guy, the marionette guy.
Oh god.
Ventriloquist.
Yeah, but what was the name of the puppet? The puppet was like the main villain, because it was the alter ego of him. It wasn't Scarface.
I don't know. No. I don't know. I'm a terrible Batman fan. I don't remember.
I was like, I
Yeah,
don't know, Calendar Man. I do love Long Halloween.
uh,
Long
Calendar
Halloween,
Man's
another
great.
one. That's my favorite graphic novel. They fucked
Same.
the ending when they did the animated thing.
Yeah,
Oh
no,
no, that makes me so sad.
but like, and that's the thing. Like, it's really because the Joker came out as basically like they realized that they had fucked up the Snyderverse / DCEU so much that they had to do one-offs again, right? Like, Robert Pattinson's The Batman more or less has zero connection to anything going on there at this point. And so that's kind of the path where I think that they were on until now James Gunn's coming on, which, jury's going to be still out on that. I
don't have much faith, but I'm not a James Gunn fan, as it turns out.
You were previously.
I found out the one movie I really loved from him, he didn't write. So
I mean, yeah, that's fair. I mean, Zack Snyder never wrote anything good that he ever made, so.
True.
Looking up James Gunn movies.
Yeah, no, not only did he not write Guardians of the Galaxy, he tried to erase the original writer's name off of the film, who was a woman, by the way. So, probably not a great guy.
Great job, bud.
Good.
Great job, buddy. Yeah. Again, jury's still out. I'm not super confident at this point.
Yeah, but we'll see. Anything can be good.
Anything could be.
Theoretically, I suppose, yes.
Yeah, like
I'm
jury's
sure
still...
the incels will love it. So, or maybe they won't because it's a musical. So who knows?
Yeah.
Wait, they're gonna make Superman a musical? I'll watch the shit out of that. It's just Newsies, but Superman's there.
I'm down.
Anyway, so Seth, why is Frank Miller a bastard?
Just because he's a fascist who hates women. Like,
what else is new?
Pretty much my whole take on Frank Miller. He's just a bad fucking dude. He wrote one good comic, The Dark Knight Rises. It's my other favorite graphic novel, The Dark Knight Returns. So good, but it works because Batman in there is a fascist.
Yeah.
Like, everything else he's written, it's just, he's Islamophobic. He's just the worst fucking dude. That's all I have to say about it.
You had it on the doc, so I had to bring it up. But no, it is kind of funny because, like, I was thinking about this too, where it's just like in X-Men, the whole thing is just like Magneto is so anti-fascist that he becomes a fascist.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's amazing how that curve always works. It's just like, how can you make something so good and yet be so shitty?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
That.
Anyways, I think that covers most of our topics for the day. Brie, Seth, is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
I'm good.
How about how cute Brie's cats are?
Look
They
at
are
Dante.
adorable. They're
He's
doing
been
now.
this whole time.
Dante's a good boy.
Yes.
Theo, on the other hand,
It's
and then we
usually
got
the
Bo in the
reverse,
background. What's Fox doing? Fox is on the couch. He's fine.
Bo's tail was just up. Oh, there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw
Yeah, there it is.
first.
I saw Bo's tail. People show up for the pets, so we gotta have them involved in the show.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyways, so Seth, what homework do you have lined up for us for the next couple of weeks?
I was thinking we could watch Galaxy Quest, a little movie about fandoms, and
Ooh.
I don't know if either of you have seen it. I know, Aaron, you're into Star Trek. Into Star Trek.
I know. I've watched The Next Generation previously. I've never actually watched any Star Trek outside of that.
All right. Well,
But I'm familiar
sure.
with Galaxy Quest, so yeah.
oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know. I was having a hard time coming up with homework this week. It was that, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, or Titanic, because I'm kind of in the mood to watch Titanic again. But I don't know what we talk about with
somebody.
Huh?
I was just talking about somebody. They just rewatched it recently. They're like, it's a bad movie. It's like, oh,
Really?
that's crazy. Yeah.
I rewatched it
about-
a year ago, and I thought it's great.
Interesting. They said the acting's really bad.
Well, I was
and,
about to say, I feel like if I was going to go back and watch Titanic, I would probably watch it for the cinematography more than anything else. Because obviously James Cameron, if there's anything that he knows how to do, it's how to, like, shoot a good movie. But, like, I feel like a lot of the acting would probably be very cringe. Some of the I don't know how I would stay awake watching it.
I think for me, it's that I got boat autism, not train autism, and that did a lot for me. It's a big boat.
I mean, and yeah, and I don't even remember the last time I watched Brother Out There.
It's great.
The soundtrack's amazing.
Yeah, I've got the soundtrack on my phone. It's a early 1900s retelling of the Odyssey.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
So we could do Oh Brother Where Art Thou if you guys aren't feeling Galaxy Quest.
I don't know anything about Galaxy Quest, but I whatever you choose, I will do. So.
All
right. Where is either of these on streaming? I feel like
that's a good point. I don't know.
We can make that the tiebreaker. Brother Without There.
It's on Pluto TV, but I don't know what the fuck that is.
Which one?
Galaxy Quest.
It's available for purchase on something. Brother, Where Art Thou? But I don't see where it exists on streaming. Disney? It's not on Disney, is it?
You can rent Galaxy Quest on Prime.
Welcome to the segment of the show where we figure out where the fuck content lives.
Yeah. This is a peek behind the curtain.
You can just listen to us gently typing. Looking confused, just like, what the fuck? What service is this?
Yeah, Oh Brother Where Art Thou is also available to rent on Prime. I can find something else.
No.
It's easier to get. I own both of these movies, so I don't.
Yeah, no, I don't care about rent. I'll pay the $3 to rent something.
Not a big deal. About that. It's truly your preference. We will do whatever you want, Seth. So whatever makes sense.
You can write it off on your taxes.
Okay.
Disclaimer: I don't know if you can actually write those off on your taxes.
You told me I could. I'm doing it.
I don't send you guys actual paychecks, so who cares?
Well, let's do Galaxy Quest because I feel like that's going to be a bit more on topic with the things we talk about.
Yeah. I think so. We'll do a Galaxy Quest. And then we'll be back in a couple of weeks. I will be heading to my sister's wedding next week, so I will probably be super exhausted. Until you guys next see me.
Fair. Very hungover still.
Yeah, hungover or just dealing with family. One of the two.
Yeah. Fun.
We love that.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on another episode of Internet Friends. I am TCK Media Productions on most social media platforms. We got That's F23 over there, who you can find on TikTok and Instagram. He will probably be complaining about the Israeli government for the most part. And then as should we all. And then we have Raccoonaloon herself, Brie, who you can find on Instagram and Twitch every now and again.
I'll post something, maybe. Who's to say?
Eventually.
We're all, 30-something-year-old millennials, so basically whether or not we're actually on the internet, it's a complete crapshoot at this point.
Who's to say?
Well, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.